have clicked into this video because we are 3 weeks into the new year and you are lacking motivation right now. And if that's you, you are not alone. I'm sure millions of people are in a very similar boat to you.
Sideswipes the iceberg. Murdoch ports around the iceberg, try to keep from hitting the propellers. That looks pretty good. Now we're watching an accelerated time. We see the first 5 compartments flood. They equalize pretty quickly.
It's important when one feels like they are lacking motivation, I think, to take a bit of a step back, to really identify within yourself, okay, in this area within my life, we'll say professionally speaking, I'm in a sales role, but I'm lacking motivation. Like when I wake up in the morning, I'm just not as on fire as I used to be during my first few months into the job, or my first year into the job. And we've all been there, right? I think especially speaking as someone like myself who's been in the sales game now for 15 years, crazy to think about. But not every single day is a day where I'm like on fire for sales. And it's important to recognize that if you are experiencing a day or a week, a couple weeks even, of just not feeling that sense of excitement about what you do, it's okay. I was thinking a lot about that when a rep recently brought it up to me in a conversation where I was like, man, when was the last time I felt this way? And I think I'm in a blessed state of mind right now because I'm living in Australia and I'm out of my normal day-to-day grind that I'm used to from being, in the United States typically. And so I think for me, I'm still in that exciting honeymoon phase of being in Australia the last 4 months. So I do have a sense of motivation in that sense. But if I peel back the layers, I think for me, my motivation is of course monetary, because I'm in sales. I enjoy making good money. So money is always going to be an aspect to most salespeople and why they join work, because I think money to a certain degree is needed in order to have the lifestyle that one wants. And so for me, my motivation is to work hard to make money so that I can have the freedom and the ability to travel and to spend money at nice restaurants and wear nice things. So that's what drives me personally. It's not necessarily because I like money and I idolize money, but it's the byproduct of what happens when I have the money and what I'm able to do with the money, and to be able to treat people to nice dinners and gifts and stuff. Like, I love that because back when I started, I had mentors that did that for me, and so I want to do that in return for other people. As Simon Sinek talks about in his book, Start With Why. Why are you doing this? Why are you in this role? Why are you putting in 40, 50, 60 plus hours of your time and energy and resource that you can never get back? Why? What is it all for? And if you don't know the exact why, and you're in sales and it's a very high pressure environment, I'm going to challenge that you take some time to journal and to really unpack that for yourself, because it doesn't matter what your boss thinks. It doesn't matter what friends, family think. It only pretty much matters what you think and what's important to you, and if you're excited and what's causing that sense of purpose and fulfillment in what you're doing. After you take some time to be introspective, right? Maybe a couple days, maybe a couple weeks. I would say you should, at that point, my mentor, Greg, once did an exercise with me where it's, 7 layers of the why. And it's a great exercise whenever one feels like, am I doing, am I excited and fulfilled in what I'm doing? Or am I lacking vision and purpose right now? And so he always starts off with, all right, why are you excited about this year or this goal, right? And then he'll ask me, why is that important to me, right? So let's say, for example, I might say, I'm just, I'm really excited to get promoted. Okay, why are you excited about getting promoted? Well, in getting excited about being promoted, I, in return, make more money and I have more influence over the people around me. I become more senior, okay? Why are you excited about, making more money first off and becoming more senior? What does that mean for you? Well, the money itself, I'm excited about, saving up and being able to add numerous ways and streams of income to my portfolio. Okay, before we dive into the growth and what comes with being more senior, why is the numerous streams of income exciting for you? What is that for? Well, eventually my goal is to, purchase a house for myself, and then another house, I should say, and then purchase a house for my mom. That's going to require obviously more streams of income. Okay, why is the house for your mom that exciting, right? And you just follow this exercise within yourself, and you can even do journal on this on your own, like why, what is it all for? And if you have, if you get down to the nucleus of what is motivating you to get up in the morning and to a certain degree keeping you up at night, that is a strong damn why. You have a clear cut, clear vision, clear mission for why you're doing your day to day. And for me, if your job has that and you're excited about that why, cool. Then who cares what other people think? You might have a couple naysayers in your life that don't believe that you're going to be successful. Well, if your why is strong enough, you're going to prove those people wrong. And I've done that before, and it's really fun to be able to prove to people that think very lowly of you that you can do something that they did not think was possible. So I would say figure out what that why is. You might find that, cool, I have my why, Bri, but it's just not aligned to the current position that I'm in. Maybe the position that you're in is not a great fit for your strengths and the company that you're wanting to be in. If that is the case, that is so okay. A lot of people that I know, though, they hate their job. They complain about their job to everyone around them. They're that negative Nancy about how much they dread going to work and how much they live for the weekend and how they wake up in the mornings and they're already excited about the day being done from a work perspective. And again, this is a thought that I often challenge with loved ones around me, which is that if you hate your job that much, you only get one life. You only get X amount of days on this lovely earth that we're living in. Don't spend too much time, too many seasons in a job that you hate. That is the worst thing that you can do. And it is much better to leave that environment that you're dreading so heavily and to explore other things in the meantime. And I've got a couple videos on the channel that kind of harp on this, but again, there's so many tools that you can use online. You can go back to school and get a new certification or a new degree and to find your passion in life, regardless of whatever age you are. So I think it's important to realize within yourself and to have a heart-to-heart within yourself, which is, am I in a good position that actually is best suited for what I want to do in this life? And if that isn't the case and there's other things that you're more passionate about, get out of what you're doing and pursue that. Next thing, whenever I think about lacking motivation, right? I think about our targets aligned, because sometimes it can be extremely demotivating when the targets are not at all achievable. And you're in a sales position and you're thinking to yourself, not a single soul in my sales org is hitting these targets. So what's the point? I feel defeated and thus lacks the motivation. So if that's the case, I would say chat with your manager and identify, are these goals things that you've hit in the past, achieved in the past? Other people in the org, are they hitting it? And if that's the case, cool. Lean on those best practices and that, plan that has brought people success and see if you can cultivate that for yourself. So I've seen that before where people lack motivation because comp and targets are just not achievable. So if that's the situation that you're in, definitely dive into that deeper with your manager. And then the last two that I thought of as I was kind of looking through in the past on just things that were blocking my motivation. The two are a bit of outside of work, but I would categorize them as separate entities, which is personal issues, right? Perhaps you're going through a breakup. Perhaps you're going through just issues in your personal life that's causing you to not feel motivated in the workplace. I've been there. I've been through a couple breakups in the midst of working, and to a certain degree I enjoy work because it allows me to compartmentalize and just to be, excited about something that's not my love life. But for some people it does affect them, and it diminishes motivation in the workplace. So I recognize that. And so if that is the case, I would say the biggest thing to quickly acknowledge is that you're not lacking motivation, not because of the job itself, but because other things in your life are taking priority right now. And that's okay, right? Maybe a loved one is sick and you're having to take care of them and stuff. So again, these are things that I would always recommend going to your manager directly on, so they understand why perhaps you might be a little bit off and motivation might not necessarily be there. And it's not to say that it's going to allow for poor performance, but your manager at the end of the day is your champion behind closed doors to the higher ups within the company. So it is important information for them to know as to why your performance might be a little bit off, or by why you individually, maybe your performance is rock solid, but why you might be a little bit off, right? Maybe you got some personal stuff going on. Lastly, it's mental health. And you know, if one is experiencing a lack of motivation in the workplace, perhaps it's tied to mental health issues. And I've had friends and family that have experienced that, where unfortunately, you know, depression is there, and they just can't seem to get out of it. And it's just one of those things that unfortunately can't do much about it. You can't tell your brain, hey, I'm gonna start producing serotonin. And it's one of those things that, again, work with doctors to help at least mitigate that to a certain degree, and to hopefully overcome that season that you might be experiencing some mental health stuff. I'm not at all an expert, so I'm not really going to touch that one a whole lot, but it is something that, as I thought about it, I was like, okay, maybe lack of motivation in the workplace is stemming from more of a mental health perspective, and that's something that should absolutely be taken seriously. So those are my overall thoughts on lack of motivation from a professional standpoint. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. So you might be thinking, I'm just feeling so unmotivated lately. Well, I'm the type of person that is just constantly thinking and moving 100 miles an hour, that if I don't spend time journaling and actually thinking through why am I feeling certain ways, it sometimes goes into my blind spots. And it's not until a loved one or a mentor, you know, nudges me and they go, hey, you're acting a little out of character right now. Is there something else going on? And then I think about it a little deeper, and I'm like, okay, there is some other stuff at play right now, which is why I'm not my most motivated self. So I would always encourage one to kind of take a step in the direction of journaling, introspection, therapy, because it is really helpful. So hopefully you got some value over this video on lacking motivation. If you did, smash the subscribe button, but I'll catch you on the next one.